Welcome to Leveraging Inspiration, the Inspired Patent Podcast, where we explore the world of innovation, creativity, and intellectual property. I'm your host, Wayne Carroll, and I'm excited to bring you insights and stories from inventors, entrepreneurs, and experts in the field. Now, before we get started, I want to make it clear that while I am an attorney, the information I provide on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. I'm not providing legal advice, and nothing in this podcast should be construed as creating an attorney-client relationship. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's dive into the world of patents, intellectual property, and innovation. Join me on this journey as we explore the power of inspiration and how to turn your ideas into reality. This is the fourth episode in the first week, where we're covering from IP confusion to IP clarity, understanding what inspirations can and cannot be protected. And in this episode, we're specifically covering from secrets to success, safeguarding your inspiration from theft and misuse. I want to start with the story of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So the Kentucky Fried Chicken founder, and actually the later company, he created a secret recipe, and he found a way to protect this secret recipe so that no one person has the whole recipe. So how do you hire people to make a recipe, but not give them the whole recipe? What they do is they have three different parts. So one vendor, they create a portion of the recipe with the special blend of seasoning and spices. Then a second company creates another portion of the recipe with a portion of the blend of the seasoning and spices. And then they have it combined at a third. So the first two companies don't even know what percentage of the recipe they have. And so then it's combined by a third company, and actually I believe it's done by a computer process. So that way they have their recipe protected without having to actually give it to someone. And on a previous podcast, I talked about how when you have a trade secret, you want to only share that secret with the people that need to know. So this is an example of how they reduced who needs to know the recipe. And that way they can, certainly there's a portion of the recipe, but those companies, I'm sure, are not allowed to contact each other or talk to each other in any way. And so it's important to understand how to protect a trade secret, because inspired ideas and your inspiration usually starts as a secret. It's not known by others, or if it's in a small group effort, it's only known by a few people. And then it's secret until it's shared. Of course, once it's published, then it's no longer secret. And that is, as we discussed before, one of the key dates that determines what intellectual property rights you can get. When you publish an invention, if you haven't already filed a patent application, you have limited time to file a patent application in the US, but in the vast majority of other countries, you don't have that right anymore. And whenever a patent is applied for, the patent office does research. And whether it's the US Patent Office, the Korean Patent Office, the European Patent Office, there's others, Japan, China, and whoever's examining it, they're going to search for publications, and publications mean anything available to the public. This podcast is a publication. Anything on the internet is a publication. And some things are on the internet and then go away, but they're actually places that archive them, that capture websites at certain dates and record them. So it's possible, and they don't catch everything, but even if something's only on the internet for a short period of time, it might still be counted against you as a publication in the future, even if you didn't know about it. So that first, when you publish, is very important. And publishing, of course, is advertising, trade shows, putting it on sale, putting it on your website, going on the radio, TV. However, you let people know about what you're offering. So other things that start as a secret are things in your business, like a customer list. And suppose you have a customer list or potential customers, but especially if it's your customers, you have contracts with your customers, and those contracts expire at certain dates. Wouldn't your competitors love to know when your contracts are expiring so they can hit up your customers to work with them while they're renegotiating with you on the next contract? That should be kept a secret. If you don't have, if that's your business model and you don't have agreements with the people in your business that have access to that information, then you're going to have a hard time if somebody takes that information and leaves because you didn't get an agreement to keep that secret. Also, a supplier list with negotiated prices, secret recipes or processes, marketing plan, details where you find your dream clients and who they are, your business plan. And some details of these you may need to share. If you're seeking for investors, investors typically don't want to sign non-disclosure agreements because they may review 100 or 1,000 different business plans before they invest in one. If they sign a non-disclosure and a non-compete with 1,000 entrepreneurs with business plans, then it's very likely that they're going to invest in something in the future that looks something like one of those 1,000, and they're trapping themselves. So if you're going to investors, and unless it's someone you have a personal relationship with already who's an investor, and check with an attorney before you do that to make sure you're not violating any securities law about offering securities. When you ask somebody to invest in your business, you are selling a security, and there's security laws around that. And there's exceptions and ways to do it properly. But yeah, when you go before, when you present your business plan, it's not going to be your whole business plan. And so there's going to be plenty of details that you don't share, but you're going to want to share enough so they're going to want to invest in you. And so sometimes you need to have a patent filed before you go present to business investors. So other things that start as a secret and you might want to keep as a secret, at least for a time, is like the new look for a redesigned product, what you're about to launch. And there is a process we haven't discussed yet called, it's a design patent. Design patents cover what something looks like, not how it functions. A good example is the hood of a car. For the most part, the hood of a car, one car, another car, it doesn't function any differently. They both, they have some aerodynamics, but pretty much it'll function. The car will function without the hood. It just won't look nice. And so, but hoods have all these different creases and looks and bends in them. And so car companies often will file a design patent on panels and hoods of the vehicles. And so that's an example of how something looks and not how it functions. And when you have that planned, you don't want somebody else to know about it. And if you decide to have a design patent, you want to file that before you publish it. Another idea that might be a secret you might want to keep is how to train highly skilled employees, and those employees are valuable assets that can be, so that training program can be kept secret and kept as a competitive advantage for your business. So what I encourage you to do is review what it is you think you should be keeping secret. We did discuss that in a previous episode, so go back and look at the previous episodes. Episode 1, we talked about what is it you don't want your competitors to have in your business. So take that list and review who has access to your secrets, and consider if they have a contract that obligates them to keep it secret and not use it. You also want to write down what you would consider to be reasonable security. So KFC, they consider their recipe to be extremely valuable, and so they put a lot of effort into their security. If you had, the cure for cancer, something extremely valuable, you'd want a very high amount of security. If the value of it isn't that in that $1 billion range, then reasonable internet security, reasonable contracts and measures of telling employees, here's how you handle these documents and here's where you put them, having some discussions with your employees and contractors and people that work with you who have access to your secrets. So write down what you think would be reasonable and have security that if somebody breached that, they would be stealing, whether it's your own employees or somebody from the outside. So take 5 minutes and write down who you have shared your secrets with, and that includes your mother and your spouse. You really should, anyone who you have shared your secrets with, they should sign an agreement and make sure that they know that they need to keep it secret from what you have shared with them, so that it doesn't go into your hands of competitors by accident or from somebody stealing it. So thank you for joining me on this first week of Leveraging Inspiration, the Inspired Patent Podcasts. I'm Wayne Carroll, and I'll see you next week.
Have they evolved? Because clearly now you've got it sounds like most of those travel and sort of early scale